Hey crafters, it's Janet from Crafting It Up in Creations, coming at you today with a DIY upscale of a soap dispenser. Now this is from Dollar Tree. These are ceramic soap dispensers that you can get for $1, of course, in their bathroom section. And they typically come in several different colors. They have white, black, gray. I've even seen a recent olive green one, but we're going to start out with a white one. Now, I initially put flat white primer on this because I have been making some cups from Walmart using these alcohol inks as well. And I thought maybe I should prime it at first, and I'll show you later why it really doesn't even matter on these. The dispenser on it's really nice. It is plastic. They're all plastic, but I like the metal one looks of them better because it just looks more higher end. This is a Tim Holtz sponge dauber. It's made really for paper crafts, and as you can see, there's Velcro on there, and it holds this little sponge piece. Now you can also get the pieces that are like felt, but I have found that the felt pieces leave stuff on my project, and they're really hard to get off. This is some Adirondack alcohol ink. I start out using the color slate, but as you'll see later, I end up changing it to Expresso, and I'll show you why that too. So I kind of just wanted to show you some of the things that I went through, some of the mistakes that I made, and how I corrected them, and how I moved forward from that. So this is the container with the flat white paint on it. And as you can see, there is a blemish in the front of that, and I'm going to use that as an area that I'm going to put one of my knots at. Now, I really like slate. I think this would have given it a really pretty, kind of like that wood barn look, and I was super excited about that. And as you can see, I do like it, but here in a minute, you'll see when I kind of like pull some of that color away, it leaves like this pinkish tinge under it. And then if you remove some of the alcohol ink when you swipe, you can see it. And I did not like that. I didn't like the pink tinge. I did not want that. And I'm not sure if it's because of the flat white paint. I am going to try to do one and see without it, just to see if it still does that, because it may have been a reaction with that paint. And I kind of go through this pretty fast, but it even looks green here, which I'm okay with that. Or maybe that's where I tried a different color. I think I may have even tried blending those colors, but I didn't like it. So I was like, well, let me just start over and try using a different color of alcohol ink. So I ended up using the Adirondack ink in Expresso after this, because I just, as you can see that pink. Sometimes it's there. There's a big gap there where it's not. And I just was not satisfied with that look. So the best thing about these alcohol inks is that you can change that. It is something that you can go back in. Now I went ahead and left this part in here because this is how I make my knots. And I don't know if I even show this later. But I kind of put a dot on there, and I take the alcohol or the sponge dauber and I kind of push it off to the side so that it kind of makes like a little area that surrounds it, that where that builds up, to kind of give it that knot look. And I just take one of this as a low Cornell piece. It's actually used mostly for polymer clay, and I'm just going to use the tip of it to kind of put in what I think would look like a wood knot, and I kind of just draw in the middle of this. This worked out really well for one of the cups that I made, and I was really pleased with it. But if you look in there, you can still see where I drew those lines, even though I'm going back over it. And after a while, I was like, why is it doing that? And then I realized it was my paint that was making it do that. And this had dried in enough time where it really shouldn't have affected it in that way if the alcohol ink just may have mixed with it, not, you know, it pulled it from it. But I thought, well, The next time I try one, I just won't use the paint. But I kind of dab it with my finger. I add a little bit more ink. I push it over to the side. And I just keep working at it. Sometimes I even blow on it to help air dry that ink just a little bit faster. And I come out with this little knot look. They're not perfect. Some of the ones that I've made, even with my cups, these are like 30-ounce cups, Ozark Trail cups from Walmart. And I'm doing just a little bit of fun with some of those in the process of trying to make a geode cup, and I'll share that with you guys later. Which brings me to say, if you want to keep up with stuff like that, make sure you hit that subscribe button down there, and make sure you hit that like button. That lets YouTube and me know that you would want to see more type of that content. So that's me kind of blowing on it. And I like drawing in the middle of it with that, because I just think that it kind of helps make it look like a wood knot. Now, unfortunately, when I go back over this with the brown, I end up having to redo this whole knot again, because it just, I don't know, I did not like the way the pink comes through. It could be that even the next time I could put a yellow under it, or maybe offset it with a different color underneath of this wood grain look to where it wouldn't do that. I know I had done that with the brown before. I offset it with the yellow underneath with one of the cups, but this is where I decide to go ahead and try out this Expresso. And it takes it a second here to, there we go, focus in. But that's the color Expresso. And I'm like, well, I'm just going to change it all up. Now, the alcohol ink washes off your hands really well, but I had to go to work that night, and I thought, well, just in case, I didn't want to have brown under my fingernails. That was the biggest thing. And I kind of work at it. It's a little harder because of the way it slants up at the top, and you have to worry about, you know, that kind of looking like the wood kind of goes into itself. But I work at this, and I put a couple knots in the corner. And basically, if you drag your sponge across that a couple of times, it'll give you like a real smooth look. But then as the alcohol starts to dry some, and you keep dragging it across, it gives you that grain look. So you almost have to put down the color and then keep going back across it several times, as you can see there. And kind of keep dragging it across there. And then I kind of just pick out spots that I think a little knot would look good, or even if it was a place that for some reason I couldn't get to blend very well, I thought, well, let's add a knot there too. I really wanted some on, you know, the front side and the back side of the soap dispenser, just because I wanted to be able to look at it and see it. And I kind of do this the same way. And kind of just move that color around so that, you know, you get that appearance of the knot on there. So like I say, I'm trying to make some cups, and I'm using the alcohol inks on those too. And I just thought, let me try to go ahead and make something real quick for you guys, because the cup process is coming along, but I don't want to make a video on that just yet until I kind of get my feet wet with it. You know, when you've never really done a bigger craft like that before, you don't want to show people or even videotape that entire process without having something kind of prepared or pre-planned, because it makes it hard to even edit a video. And mostly within mind that in order to do those cups, you gotta cover it one day with glitter. You gotta let that settle. The next day you gotta come back, add a layer of maybe the epoxy, and then let that set for a day. So it's a continual process, and I'm afraid that what's gonna happen, and because I haven't actually completed a full one yet except for some of the simple things, is that, that it won't turn out right. And that's a lot of recording. So I thought I want to give it a try, get my feet wet, make my first couple cups, and then share my process. Because I know a lot of people have a little bit different way of doing it, and some of them have such good ideas. Like if you want to get involved in something, I swear there's probably a Facebook group for it. Even my daughter has a place on the back of her head, maybe psoriasis. We're not entirely sure, but I've found a very helpful group on Facebook about that and different things to try. So trust me, I swear, as bad a Facebook reputation is right now, there are some really good things on there as well. So I keep at this knot and keep at it until I get it like I want it. So all you really need is time. If you mess it up, go back over it, restart it over again. This is Rust-Oleum Triple Thick Glaze. They sell a Rust-Oleum Triple Thick in Walmart now for like $6.77 or $7 something, maybe $7.74. It works the same. I'm going to actually use it to put a sealer on the outside of both of these when I'm done, so that the alcohol ink won't ever be damaged. And this is one that I decided just to try all by itself. I didn't prime it or anything, and I'm just going to take the alcohol ink and just directly apply it. I didn't even try the gray, and now I kind of wish I would have, because I'm curious as to whether or not I would have saw those pink spots on it. I don't think that I have another white one on me right now, so I can't just pick one up and try it just yet. I'm going to have to wait till I make it back to the Dollar Tree, I guess, one day and see. And then maybe in turn give some of these out as gifts or something, later on. And this is just kind of the boring part. I tried to speed a lot of this up, so it looks like I'm working semi-fast, but I'm really not. But like I say, you get those wide streaks, and that's what I'm talking about earlier, is you kind of get those wide streaks where it doesn't look like there's grain in it, but if you keep raking that piece across, then you'll start getting the really closer pieces. Some people even use a really cheap paintbrush after they've applied the alcohol ink on there, and it kind of really gives them that wood grain look as well. But I found these applicators do it for me too, and I like how sometimes it gives a heavier distinction of color than than in other places. I think it just makes it look more natural. So I just keep at it, and I'm going to go all the way around this as well. And I'm going to show you the end product of this too here in just a second. I'm trying to do it real quick across the top, and you can see that you kind of get those lines. That's the only thing that bothers me. So in the end, I end up kind of just going all the way around it almost, so that I kind of get rid of those harsh lines. And of course, anytime you can tell that it looks like it's darker again, it's because I've went back and added some of that Expresso alcohol ink back to the sponge. But like I say, the best part about all this is if you're not happy with the results, just ink up your sponge again and go right back down on it. And if you're really truly not happy with it, you can take alcohol, 91% alcohol on there, and wipe the whole thing clean too. If you use different colors, you could do tie-dye, you could do, instead of like a wood look, you could just add other colors from the alcohol ink itself and blend them in together. I've seen some really pretty ornaments made that way on some of those little tiles from like Lowe's. I'd love to do some of those for you guys and show you, just what all kinds of different things you can do with alcohol ink. I did a video right before Easter, and I'm contemplating on sharing it just because it has some Easter eggs in it, but it's just some things that I use the alcohol inks in that too. And of course, the alcohol inks are very versatile. There's so many different things you can use them on. And I hope to share that with you all in the future with some of the Christmas ornaments that I've made, the tumblers that I'm going to make. I really want to make a beach theme one, but like I say, I'm going to have to try it first, see what works for me and what works best as far as the inks go. I only have used the Tim Holtz Adirondack ink so far, but they do make a pinata alcohol ink, and I've heard a lot of people say a lot of positive things about them as well. And I know they have them on Amazon, so if you have the ability to get the alcohol inks at like Joann's or Michael's or Hobby Lobby or even AC Moore, I would go that route first. I know even last week they had some of that stuff on sale at Joann's, but if nothing else, you can use your coupons and make them less expensive. As always, thanks for watching. I hope you guys enjoyed. If you did, make sure you give me a big thumbs up. That helps me know what kind of content to keep creating, and if people like this, to keep making more. And if you haven't already, make sure you hit that subscribe button down at the bottom. That will let you know each and every time I upload a new video. Hope you guys have a wonderful day and happy crafting.